I heard Mark say the words before my brain could stop them. Lily's a burden anyway, she doesn't need that money. He was reaching for the mashed potatoes when he said it. Like he was commenting on the price of gas. Like my daughter wasn't sitting 3 feet away. I put down my fork. The metal clicked against the plate and the sound cut through the chatter. Everyone at my parents' dinner table went quiet. My father, Richard, was at the head of the table. He kept chewing, but his eyes moved to Mark. My mother, Margaret, had her hands folded in her lap like she was praying for the right moment to change the subject. Lily looked at me. 17 years old, 2 months from graduation, and she already knew how to keep her face still. She'd learned it from me. She doesn't need the fund, Mark said again. This time he was looking at my father, not at me. Construction companies in a cash flow crunch. 60 days, tops, and I'll have it paid back. Everything you've saved, you'll get it all back. $42,000. 10 years of teaching summer school. 10 years of skipping my own coffee runs so I could add $20 to Lily's account. A small inheritance from my grandmother, every cent of it folded into that number. You want me to hand over a decade of savings, I said. Clear company. For the family, my mother said quickly. Claire, sweetheart, Mark is in a tight spot. You have no idea how stressful it is running a business these days. Lily can get scholarships. She's smart, she'll be fine. But Mark needs the cash now. I looked at my mother, then at my father, then at Mark, who was finally putting down the spoon for the mashed potatoes because he'd served himself a mountain of them. You want me to hand over $42,000. Or your company. Come on, Claire, don't be dramatic. It's 42 grand. You're a teacher. You'll save it again in a few years. Lily graduates in 2 months, I said. That money pays for her first year at Rutgers. Every single dollar of it. Mark shrugged. She can take out loans like everyone else. You're acting like this is life or death. It's not. It's just school. My father spoke. Claire, let's talk about this reasonably. Mark's company provides jobs for people in this community. Good people. If he goes under, that's families without paychecks. You're a smart woman. You understand the big picture. I turned to him. The big picture is that you asked me to surrender my daughter's college fund. And Mark called her a burden. At the dinner table, in front of her. I didn't mean it like that, Mark said. He waved his hand. You're twisting my words. No, I said. You said the words, I heard them. My mother's voice went tremulous. Claire, please. We're family. We don't need to fight like this. Just think about it. That's all we're asking. You just think about it. I reached down to the floor beside my chair. The folder had been sitting there since we'd arrived, tucked against my purse. I brought it to show my father a tax question he'd offered to help with. Now my hand found the cardboard edge and I pulled it onto the table. I've been thinking, I said. I've been thinking a lot lately. I opened the folder. Inside were bank statements. Photocopies. Pages of paper that I'd printed at the library the day before because I didn't want anything on my home computer. My father leaned forward. What's this? Let's talk about your invoices, I said. Mark's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. His eyes went to the papers, and I watched his face change. Color drained. Not all at once, slowly, like water running out of a sink. What invoices? My mother asked. I looked at my father. Dad, when was the last time you wrote a check to Mark's company? He frowned. Every month, consulting fees. It's the arrangement we have. What arrangement? I asked. My company advises him, Mark said quickly. His voice was higher now. Market research. Vendor contacts, that kind of thing. It's all above board. I pulled out the bank statement. A single page, folded twice. I slid it across the tablecloth to my father. $5,000 a month, I said. Since January of last year, that's 14 months of payments. $70,000 total. My father picked up the paper. His glasses were on his forehead. He pushed them down and read. Consulting services, I continued. That's what the invoices say, every single one of them. Just those 2 words and an amount. No breakdown. No hours. No deliverables. I send a report, Mark said. He was standing now. His chair scraped against the hardwood floor. I send detailed reports every quarter. Dad has them all. Where are they? I asked. In my email. I send them by email. Give me one. Mark's mouth opened. Closed. He looked at my father. He looked at my mother. My father lowered the paper. His face was white. "Mark," he said, "show her one." "This is ridiculous," Mark said. "She's trying to smear me. She's angry about the college fund, and now she's making up lies." I pulled a second sheet from the folder. A phone number written in my handwriting. A date. A time. "I called your office manager," I said. "I pretended to be a potential client looking for references. She told me that your company hasn't had a single outside consultant on retainer since you started. You do all the work yourself." Mark stared at me. "You're lying." "I recorded the call," I said. "I have it on my phone." I didn't. But the look on his face told me I didn't need to. My mother was crying now, soft, gulping sounds. "Richard, this is absurd. Claire is trying to tear this family apart." "Aunt Diane told me to look closer at Mark," I said. "She said she'd noticed him buying a new truck last spring. A $50,000 truck. She wondered where the money came from." My father's voice was barely a whisper. "What invoices?" I looked at the folder, then at Mark, then at my father. "Let's talk about the $5,000 a month you've been paying for nothing. If this story moves you, hit subscribe to Revenge. Lily, more comeuppance is coming." I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the look on my father's face when I said the word invoices. He hadn't known. That much was clear. Mark had been very careful. The next morning, I called in sick to school. I told the office I had a stomach bug. I wasn't lying exactly. The knot in my gut was real enough. I sat at my kitchen table with a notebook and a pen. Lily was at school. The house was quiet. I wrote down everything I knew. The dinner. The $42,000, Mark's company. The $5,000 a month, Aunt Diane's tip about the truck. Then I started making calls. My father's bank was First County. He'd used them for 30 years. I knew the branch manager, a woman named Patricia Chen. She'd been 2 years ahead of me in high school. I called her and asked if my father could authorize me to see his account statements. She said he'd have to come in person or sign a release. So I drove to my parents' house at 9:15 that morning. My mother's car was gone. She had bridge club on Mondays. Perfect. My father answered the door in his bathrobe. He looked tired. Older than 65. "Claire," he said. "What are you doing here?" "I need your help," I said. "I need you to authorize me to see your bank statements. Just a few months of them, January 2023 to now." He stared at me. "Why?" "Because I need to see the payments you've been making to Mark." He blinked. "Claire, you're starting a war with your own brother." "Dad," I said, "please, if I'm wrong, I'll apologize to Mark personally. I'll give him the college fund myself, but I need to know." He stood in the doorway for a long moment. Then he sighed. "Fine, get dressed, we'll go together." We drove to First County in silence. Patricia Chen had the forms ready. My father signed. I was added as an authorized viewer on his personal checking account. I accessed the online portal on my phone while sitting in the parking lot of the bank. My father sat in the passenger seat, arms crossed, staring out the window. The statements loaded. I scrolled back to January 2023. There it was, first of every month, a check for $5,000. Payable to Mark's Construction LLC. Every single month. 14 of them. My father didn't look at the screen. $70,000, I said, total. He turned. "What?" 14 months, 5,000 each, $70,000. He took the phone from my hand, scrolled through the statements himself. His face went pale. He said it was for consulting fees. He said it was the industry standard. "Dad," I said, "did he give you invoices?" "He emailed them every month." "Can you forward them to me?" He didn't answer. But 10 minutes later, in his driveway, my phone pinged. 14 emails. Subject lines like March 2023, consulting invoice, and September 2023, services rendered. I opened the first one. It had Mark's company logo at the top. The description line said, "Consulting services, no hours listed." No project name, just a number, $5,000. I opened the second. Same thing. The third. The fourth. Every single one identical, generic, vague. A template with a dollar amount dropped in. This wasn't consulting, this was a form letter. I thanked my father and drove home. I spent the next 3 days building my file. Bank statements, invoice printouts, photocopies of the canceled checks my father had sent me scans of. I organized everything in a binder by month. On Wednesday, March 13, I got the break I needed. I called a friend of mine who worked at the county courthouse. She pulled the loan records for Mark's Construction LLC. What I found made my stomach drop. In March 2022, Mark had taken out a $100,000 business loan from First County Bank. My father had co-signed. The loan was secured against Mark's house. It had been in default since December 2023. My father was on the hook for the full amount. I printed that too. On Thursday night, I drove to Aunt Diane's house. She lived in a small condo on the west side of town. I told her everything I'd found. She sat in her armchair shaking her head. I told you the truck was suspicious, she said. $50,000, last spring, right around when these invoices started. You think he was using the money to pay for it? I think he was using the money for everything, she said. Your father is his personal ATM. I drove home with the evidence clear in my mind. 14 months of $5,000 payments. $70,000 stolen. A $100,000 loan about to collapse. A $50,000 truck. Then, on Friday morning, I received a voicemail. It wasn't meant for me. It was meant for Mark's business partner, a man named Steve. Steve had forwarded it to Aunt Diane, who forwarded it to me. The voicemail was from Mark, recorded March 5, 2024. 5 days before the dinner, his voice was clear. Relaxed? Almost laughing. Yeah, I'm milking the old man for all he's worth, he said. $5,000 a month for doing nothing. He doesn't even check the invoices. I could bill him for a golden toilet, and he'd pay it. He's that desperate for me to succeed. I listened to it 3 times. Each time, the anger in my chest grew colder, not hotter. I saved the voicemail, transcribed it, printed it. By Saturday night, March 16, I had a complete evidence package. A red binder. 2 inches thick, bank statements, invoices, loan documents, the voicemail transcript, a timeline. I sat at my kitchen table and looked at it. My father's money, my brother's greed, my daughter's future. I knew what I had to do next, but I also knew that showing my father the truth would break him. Mark was his golden boy, the son who could do no wrong, the one who was supposed to take over the family legacy. I closed the binder. I poured myself a glass of water. I sat in the dark kitchen for a long time. I had everything I needed. But the hardest part was yet to come, showing my father the truth about his golden boy. Sunday morning, March 17, my phone rang at 8047. I was still in my robe, drinking coffee at the kitchen counter. Lily was upstairs doing homework. The caller ID said, Mom. I let it ring twice. Then I picked up. Claire. Her voice was already cracking. We need to talk. Glitter, I'm listening. Your father didn't sleep last night. Neither did I. She paused. I heard her take a shaky breath. You cannot do this to your brother. Mark is sick with worry. He says you threatened him. I didn't threaten him. I showed him the truth. The truth, her voice went higher. The truth is that Mark's company is struggling. He needs help, and you're sitting on $42,000 that Lily doesn't even need yet. Lily graduates in 2 months. Scholarships, Claire. She can get scholarships. She's smart. Mark needs that money right now. You're destroying this family over a few $1,000s. I set down my coffee cup. I counted to 3 before I spoke. Mom, I have bank statements showing that Dad has paid Mark $70,000 since January last year. Silence. $5,000 a month, I continued. Every month for 14 months, for consulting services. Services that never happened. That's not true. I have the invoices. I have the canceled checks. I have a voicemail where Mark brags about milking Dad for all he's worth. Stop it. Her voice was trembling now. You're lying. You've always been jealous of Mark. I'm not jealous. I'm done. How can you say that? He's your brother. He called Lily a burden, Mom, at your dinner table. While he reached for the mashed potatoes, she started crying. Full sobs, loud enough that I had to hold the phone away from my ear. You're breaking my heart, she said. Do you want to kill me? Is that what you want? I want you to see the truth. The truth is that you're a bitter, jealous woman who can't stand to see her brother succeed. I said nothing. I'll pray for you, she whispered. Then she hung up. I stood there with the phone in my hand. The kitchen was quiet. The coffee was going cold. I heard Lily's footsteps on the stairs. Was that Grandma? Wait, what did she want? I turned to look at my daughter, 17 years old, 2 months from graduation. The same steady eyes as her father. She wants me to give away your college fund. Lily didn't flinch. And you said no. I said no. She nodded. Then she walked over and poured herself a glass of orange juice. No drama, no tears, just a 17-year-old who already knew who her family really was. I spent the rest of Sunday doing laundry, grading papers, making dinner, living a normal life in a house that felt like a fortress. Then Monday came. I was at the grocery store at 4:03 p.m., picking up milk and bread when my phone buzzed. A text from my father. I'm coming over. Me? That was it. No hello, no explanation, just a command. I finished my shopping. I drove home. I put the groceries away. I sat on the couch and waited. At 6:02, a car pulled into my driveway. I watched from the window. My father got out. He was alone. He walked up the path with stiff, angry steps. His face was red. He didn't knock. He rang the doorbell. Once. Hard. I opened the door. My father stood on my porch, veins bulging in his neck. Give me that folder, Claire, now. I stepped aside. Come in, Dad, let's talk. He didn't sit. He stood in my living room with his arms crossed, chest heaving. His jaw was tight. I had seen my father angry before. I had never seen him this angry. I'm not here to talk, he said. I want that folder, now. I closed the front door. I walked past him into the kitchen. I opened the cabinet above the coffee maker. The red binder was right where I had left it. I pulled it out and set it on the counter. You here, Dad? He didn't move. I opened the binder to the first tab. Bank statements, 14 months of them. I slid one out and laid it flat on the counter. I need you to look at this, I said. He walked over slowly, reluctantly, like he was approaching a trap. He looked down at the paper. That's your checking account, I said. First County Bank, account ending in 4902. He picked it up. His eyes scanned the rows of transactions. He didn't say anything at first. That's my signature, he said quietly. Play. He traced his finger down the page. January 2023, February 2023, March 2023. Each month had a check to Mark's Construction LLC for exactly $5,000. This is all me, he said. Yes, I pulled out the next sheet. January's check. February's check. 14 of them, photocopied front and back. His signature on every one. He recognized it. He couldn't deny it. I knew about these, he said, but his voice had changed. It was thinner now. I flipped to the next tab. The invoices. 18 pages. I had printed them all from his email account. He had forwarded me every single one earlier that week. Look at these, I said. He read them. His lips moved as he scanned each page. Consulting services. Monthly retainer, project oversight. No addresses. No timelines. No specific deliverables. I signed off on these, he said. Did you ever ask what they were for? He didn't answer. I opened a third tab. The voicemail transcript. I hit play on my phone before he could read it. Mark's voice filled the kitchen. I'm milking the old man for all he's worth. The recording stopped. The kitchen was silent. My father stared at my phone like it was a snake. Who is that? He said. Mark. He left that for his business partner on March 5. It was forwarded to me. He didn't speak. He looked at the binder. He looked at my phone. He looked at me. That's not possible, he said. It happened. 14 months, $70,000. I pulled out the loan documents. March 2022. First County Bank, $100,000. His signature on the co-signer line. Default notice dated December 2023. He took off his glasses. He rubbed his eyes. I had never seen him look small before. He looked small. I co-signed that, he said. You did. Quark. He sat down. He dropped onto my kitchen chair like his legs had given out. He put his head in his hands. He told me he needed help, my father said. He said he was turning the company around. He said the consulting was temporary, just until he got his feet under him. I didn't say anything. He called me at night, my father continued. He would call and say he was working late. He said he was stressed. He said I was the only one who believed in him. I pulled up a chair across from him. I didn't touch him. I just sat. Do you know how much time I spent on that loan? He asked. You never told me about it. I know. I didn't want you to worry. I didn't want your mother to worry. He looked up at me. His eyes were wet. He bought a truck with this money, I said. A $50,000 truck. Last spring. I have the registration. My father closed his eyes. $50,000. Yep. He sat there for a long time. The clock on my wall ticked. The refrigerator hummed. I waited. All those nights, he said. All those phone calls. He was sitting in a new truck. Yes, Dad. He let out a sound. It wasn't a sob, it was a release. Air escaping from somewhere deep. I gave him everything, he said. Everything I had. And he gave me invoices. I slid the binder toward him. There's more, I said. But that's the big picture. He looked through the pages like a man in a trance. He checked dates. He counted months. He stared at his own signature. 14 times. 14 checks. 14 months of being lied to. I've been paying him for nothing, he said. All these years. I nodded. And now, Dad, we have to decide what to do about it. The next 6 days felt like one long-held breath. My father didn't call. My mother didn't call. Mark didn't call. I taught my classes, graded papers, made dinner for Lily, and waited. On Saturday morning, March 23rd, my phone rang at 9:14. My father's voice was flat. Family meeting. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock, my house. Who's coming? Everyone. You, Mark, your mother, Diane. We're going to settle this. I said okay. I hung up. Lily was eating cereal at the counter. What happened? Tomorrow, I said, the final act. She looked at me for a long moment. Can I come? No. This one's for adults only. I spent the rest of Saturday organizing my binder. It was already complete, but I went through every page again. The bank statements, the invoices, the canceled checks, the loan documents, the voicemail transcript. I added a summary page at the front, typed clean, with dates and amounts in neat columns. The fraud total at the bottom, $70,000. The separate $100,000 co-signed loan was also in default. I printed 3 copies. Sunday morning, I put on a gray blouse and black slacks. Simple, professional. I looked at myself in the mirror and saw a woman who had stopped asking for permission. I drove to my parents' house with the binder on the passenger seat. The driveway was full. My father's sedan, Mark's truck, my mother's minivan, Aunt Diane's compact car. I parked at the curb, walked up the front path and let myself in with my key. They were already seated in the living room. My father in his recliner, my mother on the couch with her hands folded. Mark in the armchair by the window, legs crossed, phone in his hand. Aunt Diane sat at the dining table, a cup of coffee in front of her, her eyes sharp and waiting. I walked to the dining table and set down the binder. 3 copies. I placed one in front of my father. Good afternoon, I said. My mother spoke first. Claire, we're here to fix this. Your father and I have talked, and we think. Let me stop you there, Mom. I kept my voice level. This isn't a negotiation, this is a briefing. Mark laughed. A short, dismissive sound. Still with the drama. You brought a binder. How impressive. I ignored him. I opened the binder to the first page. Dad, you've seen the evidence already. You know what's in here. But the rest of the family hasn't. My mother looked at my father. Richard? What is she talking about? My father didn't answer. He stared at the binder in front of him like it was a live grenade. I continued. Since January 2023, Mark has been billing Dad $5,000 a month for consulting services. All fake. 14 payments, $70,000 total. That's a lie, Mark said. He stood up. I provided services. Project oversight, planning. Dad knew what he was paying for. Sit down, Mark. My father's voice was low. Sit down, my father repeated, not loud, not angry, just tired. Mark sat. His jaw was tight. I pulled out the bank statements. These are from Dad's account at First County Bank. 14 months of checks made out to Mark's Construction LLC, each for $5,000. I placed them on the coffee table. My mother leaned forward, looking at them but not touching. Alongside those, I said, I have the invoices Mark submitted. 18 pages. Every single one uses the same vague language. Consulting services. Project oversight, monthly retainer, no addresses. No timelines. No specific projects, just empty templates. I slid the invoices across the table. Aunt Diane picked one up, read it, and set it down without a word. Mark also took out a business loan for $100,000 in March 2022. Dad co-signed. That loan went into default in December 2023. Mark's face went red. That loan was for equipment. For payroll. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I reached into the binder and pulled out the loan documents. First County Bank, loan number 445D2, signed by Mark Harrison and Richard Harrison. Default notice dated December 15, 2023. The bank has been calling Dad for weeks. My father closed his eyes. And then there's this. I pulled out the voicemail transcript. A voicemail Mark left for his business partner Steve on March 5, 2024. I have the audio too. Would you like me to play it? You don't have anything, Mark said, his voice rising. That's fabricated. You're making this up. Read it aloud, Aunt Diane said. Her voice was dry, steady. Let's hear what the golden boy had to say. I read from the transcript. I'm milking the old man for all he's worth. $5,000 a month for doing nothing. He thinks I'm saving the company. The truck in my driveway? $50,000 of his money. He'll never figure it out. The room went silent. My mother's hands were covering her mouth. My father sat motionless. Mark's face was the color of raw meat. Show me, my mother whispered. Show me the recording. I pulled out my phone. I pressed play. Mark's voice filled the room. Perfectly clear, heard by everyone. Yeah, it's beautiful. $5,000 a month, and he thinks I'm saving the company. I'm milking the old man for all he's worth. The truck in my driveway? $50,000 of his money. He'll never figure it out. The recording stopped. My mother was crying. My father still hadn't moved. Mark stood up again, his hands shaking. That's out of context. That was a joke. What I was venting. The check deposits aren't a joke, I said. The loan default isn't a joke. The truck in your driveway isn't a joke. You can't prove anything. I just did. I closed the binder. I'm filing a police report tomorrow morning. Theft by deception, fraud, and the DA will receive a copy of the evidence. Mark's face went from red to white. You're calling the police? You're calling the police on your own brother? I'm calling the police on a man who stole $70,000 from his father. You'll ruin this family, my mother said, her voice breaking. Claire, how could you? How could I? I looked at her. Mark called my daughter a burden and tried to steal her education, and you asked me to help him do it. Aunt Diane stood up. She walked to the table and placed a hand on my shoulder. I've known for 6 months, she said. Mark's been bragging at family gatherings about his new truck. I saw the invoices when Richard showed me his files. I called Claire. Mark stared at her. You set me up. No, she said. I told the truth, something you've never learned to do. My father finally spoke. His voice was hoarse. Mark, I want the truck sold. I want every dollar paid back. And I want you out of my house. Lee, Dad, you can't. Give it out. Mark looked around the room, at my mother sobbing, at my father's stone face, at Aunt Diane's cold stare, at me, calm and still. He grabbed his keys from the coffee table. He pointed at me. This isn't over. I smiled. Oh, sweetheart, we haven't even started. He left. The door slammed. The house was quiet. My mother kept crying. My father reached for my hand. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry. I didn't pull away. But I didn't say it was okay. Because it wasn't. Not yet. I let the space hang. He filled it with his shame. That was enough for now. Until the police called, until the charges came, until the dirt napkin was clean again. Diane looked at the binder on the table. You kept copies for everyone? 3, I said. 1 for Dad, 1 for Diane, and 1 for me. The phone rang at 6:47 the morning after the family meeting. I was still in my bathrobe, coffee half made, when I saw the caller ID, Maplewood Police Department. I answered on the second ring. This is Claire Harrison. Miss Harrison, this is Officer Chen from the front desk. We received your report. I filed it this morning, I said. I dropped off the evidence package in person. Yes, ma'am, we have it. I'm calling to confirm it's been logged. I set down my coffee cup. Thank you. Is there anything else I need to do? Keep your documents safe. We may contact you if the detective needs clarification. I thanked him and hung up. At 8:30, I had already driven to the district attorney's office. I carried a folder with every piece of evidence, the bank statements, the fake invoices, the voicemail transcript, the check stubs from my father's account. I handed it to a clerk at the front desk. She stamped it, filed it, and gave me a receipt. That was it. The machinery of justice had started turning. From there, I drove to Maplewood Credit Union. The manager, a woman named Susan, I'd known for years, met me at the door. I explained what I wanted, a trust account for Lily's college fund, with me as the sole trustee. Only I could access it, no exceptions. Susan paused. This is for your daughter's education. Yes, I said, and I need it set up today. You can come in now, I'll have the paperwork ready. The trust took 45 minutes to finalize. $42,000, transferred from the savings account into a trust in Lily's name. I signed 6 documents. Susan notarized them. When I walked out, the money was untouchable. I felt lighter than I had in weeks. The text came at 11:28. From my mother. You've destroyed your brother's life. I hope you're happy. I read it twice. Then I typed a reply. I didn't destroy his life. He did. I just proved it. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then nothing. She didn't respond. She hasn't responded since. My father called at noon. His voice was hollow, like someone had drained all the sound out of it. Glitter. Your mother is beside herself. She's crying in the bedroom. She says you did this to get back at him for what he said about Lily. I did this because he stole $70,000 from you, I said. And he would have stolen Lily's college fund if I let him. Silence. Long and heavy. I know, he said finally. I know you're right, but Claire, she's my wife. And he's my son, and I don't know how to live with what he did. I waited. I didn't fill the silence. I'm going to need some time, he said. I love you. I know you did the right thing. But I need some time. Well, I understand, Dad. We hung up. That was the last conversation I had with either of my parents for 365 days. On April 15th, my phone buzzed at 7:30 in the morning. It was Aunt Diane. Turn on the news, she said. Good, Channel 4. Doesn't matter, they're all running it. I found my remote and turned on the small TV in the kitchen. There it was. A reporter standing outside the courthouse, microphone in hand. The caption read, "Local business owner charged with theft by deception." The reporter said Mark had been charged that morning, that the charges stemmed from a scheme to defraud a family member, that the amount exceeded $70,000, that the investigation was ongoing. I watched for 30 seconds. Then I turned it off. Lily came downstairs at 8:30. She saw my face and stopped halfway down the stairs. Mom, what happened? Mark was charged this morning, I said. For fraud. She walked the rest of the way down. She sat across from me at the table. Are you okay? I don't know yet, I said. I think so. Good, she said. He deserved it. I didn't argue with her. I didn't preach about forgiveness or family. He did deserve it. That was the simple truth. By June, Mark's business had collapsed. The news coverage scared off his remaining clients. His suppliers demanded cash on delivery. His employees quit when they realized there was no money to pay them. The $100,000 loan from First County Bank went into full default, and the bank came after the collateral, the equipment, the vehicles, the property. He lost his house that same month. Foreclosure. I saw the notice in the local paper. His wife moved out. He moved into a small apartment on the bad side of town, the kind with bars on the windows and a parking lot full of dented cars. Aunt Diane called me every Sunday to give me the updates. She didn't gloat, she just reported, like she was reading a weather forecast. His truck got repossessed yesterday. He's working at a Home Depot on the night shift. Your mother told your cousin that Mark is in therapy. I listened. I filed the information away. I didn't celebrate and I didn't mourn. Mark made his choices. He got the consequences. By summer, the dust had settled. I was still teaching. Lily was getting ready for college. She had been accepted to Rutgers with a partial scholarship. The trust fund would cover the rest. 4 years of tuition, room and board, books, and living expenses. All paid for, no debt, no stress. On a Tuesday in August, I drove her to orientation. We packed her bags into the trunk of my old Honda. She sat in the passenger seat, phone in her hand, scrolling through something I couldn't see. "Mom," she said without looking up, "are you going to be okay alone?" "I'll be fine," I said. "I have my students. I have Aunt Diane. I have the garden I'm going to start growing in the backyard." She looked up. "You're going to garden?" "Apparently yes," I said. "I bought seeds. Basil and tomatoes." She smiled. "That's very suburban of you." "I earned the suburb," I said. We drove in comfortable silence for a while. Then she said, "I never thanked you for standing up for me, for keeping the money." "You don't need to thank me, Lily." "I do," she said. "He called me a burden. And you didn't let that stand. You proved him wrong." I reached over and squeezed her hand. "You were never a burden. You were my reason. That's very different." She nodded. She wiped her eyes when she thought I wasn't looking. We dropped her off at the dorm at 2. I helped her carry boxes up 3 flights of stairs. We set up her room. We made her bed. We hung a small framed photo of the two of us from her senior year. Then I hugged her. Long and hard. "Call me every week," I said. "Every Sunday," she promised. "And text me if you need anything." "For I will." I drove home alone. The house was quiet. I made myself a cup of tea and sat on the back porch, looking at the empty spot where the garden was going to go. The phone didn't ring that night, or the next night, or the night after that. My mother's last words to me were that text. "You've destroyed your brother's life. I hope you're happy." I set down my phone. "No," I said. "I saved us." The year that followed was quiet, in a way I hadn't expected. Not peaceful. Quiet like a held breath. My parents stopped calling. I stopped expecting them to. The first few months, I'd check my phone every evening. Nothing from my mother, nothing from my father. Just the hollow silence of a family that had decided I was the enemy. Lily called every Sunday, just like she promised. She told me about her classes, her roommate, the cafeteria food that tasted like cardboard. She never asked about my parents. I never brought them up. I started planning my garden that spring. Tomatoes, basil, peppers. It gave me something to look forward to. In June, I heard through Diane that Mark's construction company was officially dissolved. The bank had seized what little was left. Summer turned to fall. I started a new school year with a fresh batch of students who didn't know my family story. I taught algebra. I graded papers. I took Lily shopping for winter coats during her Thanksgiving break. She was thriving. Honors classes, a part-time job at the campus library. A boyfriend named Kevin who seemed decent enough. "He's majoring in engineering," she told me. "He's nice. He doesn't talk about money." I smiled. That's a good sign. Christmas came. I spent it alone with a movie and a glass of wine. Diane stopped by in the afternoon with a plate of cookies. We sat on my couch and watched the snow fall. "They're having dinner at the country club," she said. "Richard and Margaret. Mark's not invited. Your mother cried about it for an hour." "I don't want to know," I said. "You should know," Diane said. "There's no winning," I said. "There's just surviving." She nodded. She understood. January was cold. February was gray. March crept in like it always does, slow and uncertain. Then, on a Tuesday evening in March of the following year, my doorbell rang. It was 7003. I was making pasta. I opened the door. My father stood on the porch. He looked older. His hair had gone fully gray, and there were new lines around his eyes. He was holding a small envelope. "Claire," he said. "Right?" He took a breath. I could see him struggling. "I'm sorry," he said. I was wrong about all of it." I didn't speak. I let him stand there in the cold. "I've been sitting on this for months," he said. I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know if you'd even want to hear it. "I'm listening," I said. He handed me the envelope. Inside was a card. Written in his shaky handwriting were 3 sentences. I was blind. "I chose the wrong child. I hope you can forgive me someday." I read it twice. Then I looked at him. "Come in," I said. He sat at my kitchen table. I made him tea. We talked for an hour. He told me Margaret still wouldn't speak of me. He told me Mark was working construction for another company, barely making ends meet. He told me the guilt sat heavy in his chest every single day. "I made so many mistakes," he said. "You did," I said. "But I made mine too. I stayed quiet for too long. We didn't reconcile, not fully, but we agreed to try." He left at 9 and hugged me at the door. It was the first time he'd hunt me in over a year. 3 years and 2 months later, in May 2028, Lily walked across a stage at Rutgers in a cap and gown. I sat in the third row with Diane beside me, both of us crying through our smiles. When they called Lily's name, I cheered loud enough to make the people next to me laugh. After the ceremony, she found me in the crowd. She was glowing. "We did it, Mom," she said. "No," I said. "You did it." Her college fund had covered every cent. No loans, no debt, just 4 years of hard work and a piece of paper that no one could take away from her. My father came to the graduation dinner. My mother did not. Diane made a toast. Lily hugged my father and he cried. That night, I sat on my back porch and looked at the garden. The tomatoes were coming in strong. I thought about the dinner, the folder, the look on Mark's face when the truth landed. I thought about my mother's last words to me. "You've destroyed this family." But I hadn't destroyed it. I just stopped being fuel for the fire. Lily graduated debt-free. My daughter is going to have a future that no one can steal, drain, or demand. I look at her, and I know I made the right choice. Family loyalty should never be a one-way street. And when someone calls your child a burden, they've shown you exactly who they are. Believe them. Always keep the receipts. I sat there in the quiet dark, the garden growing around me, and I let the peace settle in. I think that's the first time I started actually healing. Thanks for listening to my story. If it meant something to you, please like and subscribe. More stories are on the way.